Hello and welcome to The One Show with Matt Baker.
And Angela Scanlon. Now, our guest tonight was last on our screens, winning a National Television Award for Best TV Judge. And, you know, it's tough to tell, isn't it, Angela? But if you look at this picture, we think that she was quite excited about it. She was quite overcome. I mean, we were absolutely delighted.
She is delighted. Shall we see if she's calmed down yet? Please welcome Mary Berry.
A belated congratulations.
Angela, it was so unlike me because the children had come off the stage just to say hello, if you remember, and the little girl said she wanted to meet me. And I thought, well, that's all over. Yeah. And then when I'd won, I had not prepared a speech at all. And... well, it was such a shock, and it is unlike me to sort of... but, you know, it is so exciting.
Yeah.
It was such unbridled joy.
That's it, because I remember watching a little clip of you going in, and you were just there happily enjoying the evening and this, that and the other. So, you know, as you say, you didn't expect it.
I was there with my daughter, and Candice was next to me, and I really enjoyed the evening, and then sort of the shock of it. And I hadn't even looked where the steps were to go up. Well, it was very exciting. And the award, it was for me. And you know, I could take it home. Which was very
to share it with anyone,
Where is it? Is it in the kitchen?
Oh, it's in the kitchen, and you know, you don't have to polish it either.
Oh, dear.
Very practical.
No maintenance.
But, of course, I mean, it was such a wonderful way to round off your bake-off time, really. So when you think back, what is your kind of most vivid or your kind of happiest memory, would you say?
I think one of the most memorable times was when Nadia won the Bake Off.
Right.
Because we'd met her family before, and if you could see the family behind her, her little ones and her husband grinning, and she did so well, and she was so overjoyed, and she's been a great ambassador for the programme.
Yes. Well, do you know, your award, and actually that picture, has given us an idea for a call-out tonight. So if you have something to cheer about, with as much passion as Mary, let's just remind ourselves, there it is,
Yes.
Actually, strike that pose, if you can. Take a photo and then send it in, along with the details of what you are celebrating. And that will be wonderful. We'll enjoy it.
It's going to be hard to beat.
Later on. Now, there are certain subjects that always get a huge response from you at home. We're talking hospital parking charges, potholes, speed cameras.
Yeah, and we can definitely add bins to that list. Bins, yeah. So get ready, because we're about to show you a council's 4-weekly rubbish collection scheme.
Yeah. 4 weekly. Could you cope if your council tried it? Well, Lucy has visited the residents of Conwy to see how it's gone for them.
I think it's an absolute disgrace. You only have to walk around where the seagulls have taken. There's nappies all over the place.
We'll hope that they take it. We put it down.
Oh, it's ridiculous. By the time we get to the second week, our bin is just totally full.
The bin's been empty today, and basically this is what's left over.
Householders in Talabon, Conwy in North Wales are part of a council experiment. Non-recyclable waste is now collected every 4 weeks instead of every 2. Often, Cheryl Parry has too much for her bin.
I've tried ringing the council. They say take it to the skip.
Why wouldn't you take it to the skip?
Well, it's 25-30-minute drive.
The trial began after Conwy Council discovered more than half the waste put in main bins could have been recycled. Cheryl's recycling bins are emptied every week, but sometimes they get full too, and with no room in the main bin, she resorts to burning the excess.
Straight in there.
Yeah.
This is like the antithesis of recycling. But you do recycle, don't you?
Yes. And if it gets a bit full, rather than have it all hanging around.
From my perspective, this is awful, because like the whole point is reduce, reuse, recycle, and this is burn, obviously, so you're getting nothing back from this. All these materials are going to waste, nothing's being reclaimed, you're not even using the energy.
No, it's all very frustrating.
Cheryl's mum, Margaret Rawlinson, lives in sheltered accommodation. She's on a more frequent 3-weekly bin collection, but there have still been problems.
One morning, very early, a car came down and the man took a load of bin bags out of his boot and was putting them in our bins. Well, fortunately, one of the residents gets up very early and she told him to put them in his own bin, thank you.
The council aims to save £500,000 a year through its trial.
disposing of non-recycled waste costs big money. In Conwy, much of it comes here to a landfill site.
Conwy's total waste disposal bill is £2.9 million. By not sending recyclable waste to landfill, they say they could save over half of that. Not everyone's against reduced collections. Some even embrace it. Fiona Lloyd in nearby Abergele washes and reuses nappies for 4-month-old Bryn.
Bryn uses about 5 or 6 nappies a day and they get washed every other day.
She's currently on a 3-week bin collection, but would happily go to 4 weeks.
We had seen how many disposable nappies we were throwing away and sending straight into landfill. So we bought a set of cloth nappies. The council gave us money towards those. So overall, we must have saved hundreds of pounds.
There is evidence to suggest Conwy's trial is producing results. Since it began in September, waste from non-recyclable bins has dropped by over 1,000 tonnes. That's all gone to recycling. For Councillor Dave Cowans, who oversees the trial, it's a strong indication that the idea works.
All we're doing is gathering evidence that justifies this new way forward, which saves massive amounts of taxpayers' monies that we can use on other services.
What do you say to those residents who at the moment have misgivings and rubbish everywhere because they
Ring us and we'll come and deal with it.
Well, some of them say that they have and they don't get the response that's helpful to them, so they're not able to do anything
We have a
about
data
it.
tracking system for every call we receive, every email we receive. If there's an incident, we'll be out on site dealing with it.
But to succeed, the council needs to convince doubters like Cheryl and Margaret. They gamely agreed to talk to 2 mad keen recyclers, Lindsay Hines and Jake Price.
Are we buying fruit and veg that is triple packed with plastic, or can we buy the same thing with no packaging whatsoever?
I don't think a lot of people are aware of what can be recycled and what can't.
I've found that some people will get their junk mail in plastic covers and they just throw the whole lot in one bin. You've got to separate the plastic from the paper.
It seems everyone's agreed on the need for better education on recycling. But on the question of how often the bins should be emptied, even keen recyclers think the council is pushing the limit at 4-week collections.
Is 4 weeks acceptable to you?
Not to me. We just about manage on 3 weeks. I wouldn't go any further than that personally.
Perhaps food for thought for the council.
Now, there's no doubt in my mind that at the end of this trial, the council here will have a pretty impressive set of recycling statistics. However, there's still a job to do to persuade the community here that this is not just about cutbacks, but about a real opportunity with tangible benefits for everyone.
Well, Lucy's here with some more information because I'm sure this has got you talking at home. So, Lucy, where else is this happening? We're talking 4 weekly.
Yes, so recent converts to the full 4 weekly include Falkirk and South Lanarkshire in Scotland. By far and away, 2 weeks is the most common now. And recently, Bedford, Blackburn and Bournemouth have stepped up to 2 weeks. Up to 3, we have Argyll and Bute, North Devon, for example. And we've got 8 other councils who are about to make their decision. But what I can say to you is if you still have a weekly bin collection, prepare for change or prepare for change, because it's becoming quite rare.
And why is this happening now? It feels like it's all of a sudden changed.
Well, it is a big shift. Yeah. Undoubtedly, local authorities are under funding pressure, and it's very expensive to do, for example, a weekly collection. There's also a thing called the landfill escalator, which is a tax if you send stuff to landfill as a local authority. It goes up every year. It's currently at £115 per tonne, and you could possibly get much more than that if you sell it on as recycling. So it makes less economic sense for them to send to landfill, and that is because we want them to meet a 2020 European target of recycling 50% of all waste. Wales has already sailed past that. There was also the ex-local government minister, Eric Pickles, felt very strongly about weekly collections, and he brought in a fund.
Didn't he? Yeah.
He did, do you remember? £250 million if a local authority could guarantee the weekly collection for 5 years. The 5 years is up, the funds are dry, we check with the government, there's no more money from that. So that's why we're seeing this shift, basically.
OK.
Well, Mary, obviously, for people who spend their life in the kitchen, it's a real lifestyle change to start recycling. So did you struggle with that transition? I mean, we heard there in the film, you know, education.
No, I've got 4 bins, and we do it very carefully. We're very lucky with our council. We get a card with the weekly what you put out each week.
Yeah.
It's very well
But that actual
organised.
process of sorting it yourself, do you?
Oh,
do you
no,
quite
I like to do it.
You like it?
Oh, I do. And I get very cross
You're
when
one of them,
somebody
are you,
puts
Mary?
it, you know, puts a milk carton in with the glass. I get.
If I even walk to the wrong bin, my wife is like, no!
Love it. I mean, Mary's setup sounds perfect, but
Yes.
it's not the case. They are very different situations for everyone across the country.
I can't deny, Angela, it is very complex. There are 300 different schemes across the UK, costing £3 billion. Now, if you take London as an example, if you standardised all the schemes in London, you would save around £19 million. So that's the first bit. The second bit is all the boxes and bins. Bin and boxes, you've got 4. Spare a thought for the people of Bridgend who have 7. That's the most we've found. Let us know if you have more. We'd be interested to know. And that, you know, obviously seems complex. People say, why can't we just throw them all in a box? If you do that, though, your recycle it will not be as well sorted. The council won't be able to sell it for as much money, which goes back into the local authority. Reading Council have cottoned onto this. They are getting rid of the throw everything in method, bringing in different boxes and bags, and they say that will save them £4.2 million over 7 years, enough to employ 17 teachers.
Wow.
So
Well,
there's method
listen,
and
over
methods.
300 schemes. To
What
me,
about a
that seems
deposit on
ludicrous.
bottles, on plastic and
That would be
glass
great.
bottles? Wouldn't that be a good
Mary,
idea?
Yes.
let's all
Do
see if we
it.
can do something together. As viewers, honestly, because that is ridiculous. 300 different schemes. Anyway, we'll move on for now, but I'm sure we'll return to the subject. Now, a big financial company is calling time on their employees' lunchtime drinking after finding that half of all of their disciplinary cases were down to alcohol.
So is it the end of the liquid lunch? I know, don't look so sad. Dom has been to raise a glass to a dying tradition.
It's midweek, it's lunchtime, it's time for a cheeky pint before I get back to work. Hello, Steve, how are you? Pint your usual? Oh, yes, please. There you go, my darling. Oh, lovely. Thanks, sweetheart. I do love a pint, but these days I'm actually feeling a little bit naughty. This week, insurance giant Lloyd's of London banned its staff from drinking during working hours, Monday to Friday.
It has changed the culture of the lunchtime. We lose our lunchtime trade where people are eating at the desks. But we find in the trade is better in the afternoons. You know, you can have a quiet lunchtime and then 4 o'clock and the pub is packed.
What about if you went into school where your kid was being taught a lesson and the teacher smelled a booze?
Well, I think that's a different aspect of it. You talk to somebody who's got a responsible young children, and I think they cannot be drinking.
Yeah, but Lloyd's of London, someone might be pressing a button where they transfer £12 million to someone accidentally.
Yeah, well, if it's in my bank account, mate, let them have another drink
Yeah.
and I'll buy it for them.
I think if you're literally responsible for someone's life in that sense, then that would be an absolute no-go. I think if you're an office worker and you're popping out, having a quick client meeting, then if you're sealing the deal, then why not do it somewhere like this and celebrate?
Can I ask what profession you're in?
Barrister's clerk.
OK. Is it frowned upon for you to go back with beer on your back?
Having far too much to drink is irresponsible for anyone working. But, you know, the half a pint small drink at lunchtime, a lot of business is done in pubs.
Have you ever been a lunchtime drinker?
I used to be when I was younger. We were able to do it, come back, not have a snooze in the afternoon, but we didn't have to be quite so productive. Whereas now you can't get away with it.
I think it's not a good idea to be drinking, and if I was dealing with anybody who had alcohol on their breath, I'd be very concerned.
A lot of bosses don't want people drinking on their time, but then a lot of socialising is done at lunchtimes. A lot of business is done over drinks at lunchtime.
What line of work are you in, Mond?
Gymnastics teacher.
Would you ever be tempted, you know, if there was a reason to have a drink pre-giving lessons?
It would be
it would be the worst thing I could do. No.
I work with kids. I work with children with disabilities, and that would be completely unacceptable. I mean, if you're in a more casual setting, I can't see there being a major problem.
What about TV presenters?
Are you drunk?
Well, I've had a pint. Only in the name of research.
I think it's fine, you know. Loosen things up, talk to people.
I'll take you for a beer.
And Dom still hasn't returned. Normally he'd be here to talk about his experience, but we haven't seen him since.
Research,
anyway,
all
we're
in
going
the
to have
name
to
of
talk about it.
research.
Mary, where do you stand with lunchtime drinking?
Well, truthfully, I have
Yeah.
water.
Yes.
Sunday, if I'm out, I might have a drink at lunchtime, but always water. There's nothing like water at lunchtime because
No.
you can look forward to 6 o'clock.
OK, 6
Is that
o'clock.
6 o'clock? But that's it.
Magic
I
hour.
want to ask Mary what time she opens up the bottle. It's 6.
Well, there is plenty of food and drinking in your new book and your new series. What a gorgeous, gorgeous book. I mean, what's the premise? It's you every day, right?
It's every day, and every day can't just be ordinary. There are family meals in there, there are celebrations, and there's all sorts of recipes, from simple rice pudding to a wonderful reflection cake that it's a chocolate cake that you can sort of see your face in. And I've made an icing with a little bit of gelatin in, and that makes it like a mirror. For a really good occasion. But real family meals, and you know I always say what you can prepare ahead, can you freeze it? Because everybody's busy and they want to do things ahead.
It's a good tip, that.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
make more and freeze it. But you also, I mean, you get about a bit, don't you, for the series, Mary?
I had a whale of a time. and
Yeah,
I
you get up to all
loved it.
sorts of wonderful things.
I did. I went to Scotland.
Yeah.
And Scotland is so beautiful. And we were in the Highlands, and I was asked, you'll be cooking outside.
Right.
So I put on all the puffers and everything warm I got.
Yeah.
And Tom Kitchen, who's a great expert on all the things that come from Scotland, the game. And we were barbecuing outside, and there's nothing he doesn't know about venison. And it was delicious. We even picked some Jarell. We were walking back for me to make a pudding, and there were Jarell mushrooms, and we included those too. But I was then making whiskey creams. You can't go to Scotland without whiskey. And I made
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
And I added rather more whiskey than I should in these delicious ones.
Absolutely fine.
Because it was so cold. And there were midges, there was a mist, but forget all that, just the surroundings were amazing. We had the lake, the loch behind us.
Well, we're about to see
It is
you,
so
Tom
lovely.
Kitchen on the loch. It looks idyllic.
Tom has marinated these steaks with fresh rosemary and thyme.
When I do steak, I always season with pepper and salt. As long as you do it just before you put it on, otherwise it draws the blood out, doesn't it? It's one thing I really agree with you chefs, that I do like my food well seasoned, because you cannot correct it at the table because it doesn't go in the same way. Woohoo!
Oh, yes. Lovely.
Tea yet. Oh, doesn't that look lovely? Mouth-watering.
It was windy, wasn't it? Did you see my head? Gosh, I was nearly blown away. But it was so beautiful.
It was worth it. We noticed in the book, this little guy pops up quite a bit. He would be into that steak. I'm guessing it's your dog, is it?
That's Darcy, as in Darcy Bustle, because she's very beautiful and quite obedient too. And she came on a lot of our outside things, and half the time was whipping things off the picnic table or whatever. But
Best fed
she's
dog
a
in the
joy.
country.
Yes. She is adopting a very similar pose in quite a lot of the pictures, looking up, hopefully, at the plate that you're displaying in all of these lovely photos. But, yeah, what a beautiful dog. But, of course, I mean, a lot of the recipes are about the whole family. And a lot of families will struggle with younger children and trying to introduce them to new flavours. So do you have a tip on that, Mary? I mean, ketchup is a friend in our house.
Well, I'm told that a lot of children, not ours, but don't like vegetables, and that all they really want are peas or baked beans. And So I often, when I'm cooking peas, or I put peas with things that they're not so familiar with, like finely chopped leeks or broccoli in little sprigs, give it a good stir, and it just gets them used to it. And in the programme, I continue to add new things. You know, a few years ago I started to use 5-spice, but I use it again in this series, so that once you've got it on the shelf, you actually use it. I mean, juniper berries I can do without. Some of the things, you want to reuse them. I mean, I try not to have too much on the shelves. Do we really need 2 soya sauces? Won't one do?
One will do.
You know, we're all a bit short of space.
Absolutely.
And maybe you've got people in your family who keep looking at those sell-by dates.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Deal with them. Deal with them. Anyway, thanks for that, Mary. And if you're watching younger viewers, they are just peas. Nothing else is in there. It's just peas. Just peas. Mary's new book is out now, and the series is on BBC Two in just a couple of weeks' time.
That's right, the 27th.
Oh, there's a date now. Oh, there we go then.
Yeah, get in. That deserves a fist pump. Get in. Before there was Mary Berry. I can't imagine a time one cook ruled the TV roost. Fanny Craddock.
Yes, but a successful career ended in controversy and her family life ended in bitterness. Here's Giles, in a very fetching pinny, I should say, to explain how it all went wrong.
Take a fork and pull it up.
Fanny Craddock was one of TV's first celebrity chefs. From the 1950s to the 70s, millions tuned in as she prepared her culinary delights, often in partnership with her devoted husband, Johnny.
There's your gin, darling.
Oh, thank you, my love. Must you give me away?
Fanny was the toast of the nation. But behind the heavily made-up smile was a complicated private life. Fanny was married 4 times in all, Johnny being her last husband.
She had 2 children by her earlier husbands, Peter and Christopher. But curiously, when she died in 1994, neither of them was mentioned in her will.
When Fanny died, she was worth around £200,000. She left £150,000 of that to a charity for blind children. But £50,000 went to Philip Bradford and Terence John Hibbert. That's about £100,000 in today's money.
So why did Fanny leave Christopher and Peter out of her will? And who were Philip Bradford and Terence Hibbert, the mysterious recipients of such a generous bequest?
Jane Chapman was married to Fanny's son Christopher, who died last year. She first met Fanny as a friend of her parents.
When I was leaving school and didn't know